Of all of the 500 Democrats currently running for president, no one, however, epitomizes the spirit, the vision, and the power hungriness of Woodrow Wilson as Philip Drew more than Senator Elizabeth Warren. As I watch Elizabeth Warren roll out a new academic progressive plan every week to fix America, I have seen this movie or read this book before. We have seen this brand of stern academic leftist snobbery before. We saw a little bit of it with Barack Obama. But Elizabeth Warren is the Woodrow Wilson wannabe of the 2020 campaign. Except for the claiming of Native American heritage, the similarities between Wilson and Warren are striking. There's a few things. They both studied law. Wilson at the University of Virginia, Warren at Rutgers University, Newark. They both briefly practiced law before becoming college professors instead. Really an important distinction here. Both college professors. They both ended up teaching at Ivy League schools, Wilson at Princeton, Warren at Harvard. They both wrote wonky political books like Wilson's Congressional Government, a study in American politics. In that book, Wilson compared the U.S. system of government with his actual favorite, the British Parliament. He suggested reforms to make U.S. government more efficient. He never cared much for the Constitution. In Warren's book called A Fighting Chance, she writes, well, mostly about Elizabeth Warren, so there's not a great comparison there. But they both entered politics after long academic careers, and they both shot to prominence very soon after getting into politics. Wilson was president of Princeton before he was convinced to run for governor of New Jersey in 1910. He served just 2 years before running for president and winning in 1912. Exactly a century later, Warren was running for Senate in 2012, and 7 years later, she is now running for president and third in the polls. They both participated in drafting details of a proposed legislation. At least in Warren's case, that's her job as a senator. But in Wilson's case, trying to be the legislator in chief, remember, in his utopia, there is no Congress. Him being the administrator was a huge part of how he took and changed, fundamentally transformed, and I would say ruined the presidency of the United States. Because Wilson preferred the British parliamentary system over America's constitutional design, he planned to run his presidency like a prime minister. That meant he came up with the legislative plan before taking office called the New Freedom. Warren is doing exactly the same thing. Her plan is called Fighting for America's Promise for All of Us, or something like that. It's not really that catchy, but basically it is dedicated to the unhappy many who have lived and died lacking opportunity because in the starting, the worldwide social structure was wrongly begun. Every presidential candidate comes up with a platform. Of course, we know that. But Warren takes an extremely academic approach, just like Wilson did, coming up with detailed plans for specific legislation she's going to pursue, or enlisting other far-left professors to come up with the plans for her. For example, Warren has a wealth tax plan where she promotes this constantly, but it was developed by 2 Berkeley professors. Her universal child care plan was developed with the co-executive director of Georgetown University's Center on Poverty and Inequality. This goes directly to what Wilson believed. There are some people that were born to rule, some people that were born to think, and others that were born to be ruled over. He was in the top 2 categories. Warren, I believe, believes the same thing.